The Ashford estate rose like a cathedral of wealth against the Manhattan skyline. Its marble floors gleamed beneath crystal chandeliers, and priceless artwork adorned walls that had witnessed 3 generations of power and prestige. To anyone passing by, it appeared to be the home of a fairy tale romance. But fairy tales, Sophia Wentworth had learned, were lies people told themselves to sleep better at night. She sat at the edge of her king-sized bed in her private suite, staring at her reflection in the ornate mirror across the room. At 27, with honey blonde hair that fell in soft waves past her shoulders and amber eyes that once sparkled with hope, she barely recognized herself anymore. 3 years of marriage had transformed her from an optimistic young woman into someone who had mastered the art of existing without truly living. The sound of a door closing echoed through the hallway. Nicholas was leaving for work. As always, he had woken at exactly 5 in the morning, showered in his own bathroom, dressed in one of his impeccable charcoal suits, and departed without a single word to his wife. Sophia did not bother going to see him off anymore. That ritual had died 2 years ago when she finally accepted that her presence meant nothing to him. Nicholas Ashford was everything society expected a billionaire to be. At 34, he had taken his family's already successful real estate empire and expanded it into a global powerhouse. His sharp jawline, steel-gray eyes, and commanding presence made him a fixture in business magazines and society pages. Women wanted him, men wanted to be him, and Sophia just wanted him to see her. Their marriage had been arranged by their families, the Wentworths, old money with political connections, and the Ashfords, new money with business acumen. It was meant to be the perfect union. Sophia remembered standing at the altar 3 years ago, looking into Nicholas's eyes and hoping that maybe, just maybe, affection could grow between them. She had been naive enough to believe in possibilities. On their wedding night, Nicholas had made everything clear. He opened the door to a beautifully decorated bedroom and gestured inside. "This will be your room. Mine is down the hall. We will maintain separate spaces. I will handle all financial matters. You will handle social obligations. This arrangement benefits both our families." He paused, his expression unreadable. "Let us keep it professional." Professional. That word had haunted Sophia for 1095 days. She rose from the bed and walked to the window, pulling back heavy silk curtains. The city sprawled before her, full of life and movement. She had everything money could buy: closets full of designer clothes, jewelry that could fund a small nation, cars she never drove, art she never enjoyed. But she did not have the one thing that mattered. She did not have a husband who cared whether she existed. Her days passed like any other. Breakfast alone in a dining room that could seat 20. Reading in the library where thousands of books collected dust. Sometimes she painted in the conservatory, losing herself in colors that expressed what words could not. In the evenings, if Nicholas came home at all, they might share a silent dinner before retreating to their separate worlds. Sophia had tried in the beginning. She had learned his favorite foods and attempted to cook despite having staff who could do it better. She had waited up for him, hoping for conversation. She had dressed carefully for the few social events they attended together, seeking a compliment that never came. But every effort was met with polite indifference, and eventually her hope withered like flowers without water. This particular morning felt different somehow. As Sophia descended the marble staircase to the main floor, she made a decision. She would not spend another day waiting for Nicholas to notice her. She would find purpose outside these walls, even if her husband never looked her way. The charity gala 2 weeks later was held at the Whitney Museum. Sophia wore a deep sapphire gown that complemented her eyes, her hair swept up elegantly. She arrived with Nicholas, his hand barely touching her back as they entered, more for show than affection. The moment they crossed the threshold, he was surrounded by business associates and admirers. Sophia drifted to the side, as she always did, accepting champagne from a passing waiter. She was studying a sculpture when a warm voice interrupted her thoughts. "Remarkable piece, is it not?" The way the artist captured both strength and vulnerability in the same form. Sophia turned to find a man in his early 40s standing beside her. He had kind eyes and a genuine smile that reached them. His tuxedo was well-tailored but not ostentatious, and he held himself with quiet confidence rather than arrogance. "It is beautiful," Sophia agreed softly. "You can almost feel the emotion in every curve." "I am Daniel Mercer." He extended his hand. "I do not believe we have met." "Sophia Ashford." She shook his hand, surprised by the warmth of human contact. It had been so long since anyone had approached her with simple friendliness. "Ashford." Daniel's eyes showed recognition. "You are married to Nicholas." "I have worked with him on several development projects. He is brilliant, but rather intense." Sophia smiled politely, giving the response she had perfected over 3 years. "He is very dedicated to his work." "And you?" Daniel asked, surprising her with genuine interest. "What are you dedicated to?" The question caught Sophia off guard. When was the last time anyone had asked about her interests, her passions, her dreams? She found herself talking about her love of art, her abandoned degree in museum studies, her secret wish to create programs bringing cultural education to underserved communities. Daniel listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and sharing his own involvement in educational philanthropy. Their conversation flowed naturally. And for the first time in years, Sophia felt seen, not as Nicholas Ashford's wife, not as a Wentworth heir, but as Sophia, a person with thoughts and dreams worth hearing. Across the room, Nicholas was discussing a potential merger when his eyes wandered, searching for Sophia out of habit. He spotted her immediately. She was laughing at something Daniel was saying, her whole face illuminated in a way Nicholas had never witnessed before. The man leaned closer, clearly captivated by whatever Sophia was sharing. Something hot and uncomfortable twisted in Nicholas's chest. He excused himself from his conversation and found his feet carrying him toward his wife before his mind caught up with his actions. "Sophia." His voice came out harder than intended. She turned, the light in her eyes dimming slightly. "Nicholas, this is Daniel Mercer. We were discussing art education initiatives." "Mercer." Nicholas nodded curtly, stepping closer to Sophia in a way that clearly marked territory. "I need to speak with my wife." Daniel, perceptive enough to read the tension, smiled graciously. "Of course. Sophia, I would love to continue our conversation another time. Perhaps you would be willing to consult on a project I am developing." Before Sophia could respond, Nicholas's hand closed around her elbow. "My wife has a very full schedule." Sophia's eyes flashed with something Nicholas had never seen before. Anger. "Actually, I would be happy to discuss it, Daniel. You have my contact information." She pulled her arm free from Nicholas's grip. Daniel nodded and moved away, leaving the couple standing in tense silence among the circulating guests. "What was that about?" Sophia's voice was low but fierce. "I could ask you the same question." "Accepting private meetings with strange men." "Daniel Mercer is hardly a stranger. He is your business associate. And unlike some people, he treats me like I have a brain worth consulting." "Sophia." "No, Nicholas." Her whisper cut like a blade. "You do not get to ignore me for 3 years and then suddenly act possessive when someone shows me basic human kindness." She walked away, leaving Nicholas standing alone, his heart pounding with emotions he had spent years suppressing. For the first time since their wedding day, Nicholas Ashford felt something that terrified him more than vulnerability. He felt the possibility of losing something he had convinced himself he did not want. The possibility of losing Sophia. The tension in the Ashford mansion became unbearable. Nicholas found himself hyper-aware of Sophia's every movement, when she left for meetings with Daniel, when she laughed on the phone about the arts program, when she stopped waiting for him at dinner. She had ceased existing in the hopeful orbit around him that she had maintained for 3 years. And it was destroying him. One evening, Nicholas found Sophia in his study, leaving a note about a schedule conflict. "Daniel offered me a consulting position," she said calmly. "I accepted." Nicholas set down his pen with more force than necessary. "Sophia, I do not think you understand what you are doing." "I understand perfectly. I am choosing to have a life beyond these walls. Mercer is interested in more than your consulting skills." Sophia laughed bitterly. "Is that what this is about? Even if he did have ulterior motives, why would it matter to you? You have made it abundantly clear that you have no interest in me as a wife." Nicholas stood abruptly. "That is not true." "Really?" Her voice rose with 3 years of suppressed emotion. "Then explain why you have never touched me. Why you have never shared a meal with me unless we had an audience. Why you married me at all if you find my presence so unbearable." "I never said I found you unbearable. You did not have to. Your actions spoke perfectly clearly." Sophia's eyes glistened. "Do you know what it feels like to be invisible to
your own husband? To live in the same house and feel completely alone?" "Sophia, stop. No, you stop. Stop pretending this is a real marriage. You do not get to have it both ways, Nicholas. Either I am your wife or I am not. Which is it?" The question hung between them, demanding an answer Nicholas was not sure he could give. "My father," he said finally, his voice strained, "loved my mother desperately. She loved his money more. When she left him for someone wealthier, he fell apart. I watched him beg for scraps of affection from a woman who never loved him. I watched him drink himself into an early grave." Understanding dawned in Sophia's eyes. "So you kept me at a distance. I thought if I did not let you in, you could not destroy me." His jaw clenched. "But the joke is on me. You got in anyway. These past weeks, watching you come alive with Mercer, realizing you were slipping away, it has been torture. I need more than words, Nicholas." Sophia's voice was soft but firm. "I need you to show me. Every day, not just when jealousy makes you remember I exist. I do not know how to do that." "Then learn with me." She took his hand. "But I cannot do this halfway anymore. Either we are really married, or we end this." Nicholas pulled her into his arms suddenly, burying his face in her hair. "It terrifies me every moment. The thought of needing you this much. But losing you is worse. So much worse." The following weeks tested Nicholas's promise in ways neither expected. He came home for dinner more often. He asked about Sophia's work with the arts program. He reached for her hand in public without prompting. But old habits died hard. There were nights he disappeared into his study until dawn, mornings he was gone before she woke. Each time, Sophia called him on it gently but firmly. And each time, Nicholas fought against his instincts to hide and instead opened up a little more. He told her about the pressure of living up to his father's legacy, about his fear of failure, about the nightmares he still had of watching his father fall apart. Sophia shared her own pain, the loneliness of their first years together, the nights she had cried herself to sleep, the slow death of her hope. They were hard conversations, full of hurt and anger and grief. But they were real. One evening, Nicholas came home early to find Sophia painting in the conservatory. Instead of retreating to his study, he sat quietly watching her work. "I met with Daniel today," he said finally. Sophia's brush paused. "Oh. I wanted to understand what you see in him. What he offers that I have failed to provide. And he respects you genuinely. There is nothing romantic in his intentions, he simply recognizes your intelligence and wants to support your vision." Nicholas's voice was heavy. "I have been jealous of a man who was doing what I should have done from the beginning. Seeing you. Valuing you." Sophia set down her brush and crossed to where he sat. She knelt before him, taking his hands. "I do not want Daniel, Nicholas. I never did. I wanted you to wake up. I wanted you to fight for me instead of hiding behind your walls. I am fighting now. He cupped her face. I am terrified and terrible at this, but I am fighting. That is all I ever needed. Their kiss was tender at first, then deeper, 3 years of denied longing finally finding expression. When they separated, both were trembling. I want to be your husband, Nicholas whispered. Truly. Not just in name. Then show me.
Nicholas cancelled an entire week of meetings and drove them to a lake house upstate, miles from the city and all its demands. What are we doing here? Sophia asked as they arrived at the charming cabin nestled among pine trees. Learning to be married. Without distractions, without walls. Just us. The days became a revelation. They cooked meals together, took long walks through the woods, sat by the fire talking about everything and nothing. The silence between them transformed from empty to comfortable. One evening, as they watched sunset paint the lake in gold and pink, Nicholas turned to Sophia with an expression of wonder. I did not think this was possible, he said quietly. Being with someone and feeling peace instead of fear. We are building something real, Nicholas. I want to do this right. He shifted to face her fully. I know we are already married. But that was a business transaction. This is different. He produced a small box containing a new ring, simpler, more personal. A band of white gold with amber stones the color of her eyes. Sophia Wentworth Ashford. Will you marry me? Not for our families. Not for business. Will you marry me because I love you? Tears streamed down her face. Yes. 1,000 times yes. That night, Nicholas finally led Sophia to his bedroom. I want you here, he said. Where you should have been from the beginning. They made love with 3 years of longing finally released. Every touch was a confession, every kiss an apology. Nicholas worshipped her body like a man starved, memorizing every curve, every sigh, every shiver. When they finally came together, it was not just physical, it was souls finally meeting, two people choosing vulnerability over safety. Afterwards, Sophia lay in his arms, her head on his chest. I am sorry, he whispered. For every day I made you feel alone. You were always enough, Sophia. You were always everything. Keep showing me, Nicholas. Not just tonight, but every day. I promise. When Sophia woke the next morning, Nicholas was beside her, awake and watching her with soft eyes. You stayed, she whispered. I will always stay now. He pulled her close. I am done running from the best thing that ever happened to me. 6 months transformed everything. Nicholas restructured his schedule, delegating responsibilities he had hoarded for years. He came home for dinner every night, converted the conservatory into a proper art studio for Sophia, and learned that vulnerability did not destroy him, it made him stronger. Sophia's arts education program expanded to 12 schools, with Nicholas's foundation providing substantial funding. She found purpose beyond the mansion walls while building intimacy within them. Their marriage became what it should have been from the beginning: partnership, passion, genuine love. On their 4th anniversary, Nicholas surprised Sophia with a small ceremony at the lake house where they had first surrendered to each other. Just the two of them, a local officiant, and vows they had written themselves. 3 years ago, I married you because our families expected it, Nicholas said, holding her hands. Today, I marry you because I cannot imagine my life without you. You taught me that love is not destruction, it is redemption. You are my redemption, Sophia. You taught me that patience is not weakness, Sophia replied through tears. That fighting for something is worth the struggle. I choose you, Nicholas. Today and every day. They exchanged new rings, symbols of their transformed marriage. That evening, they sat on the dock watching stars emerge, the the same stars that had witnessed their first real beginning months earlier. Do you ever regret it? Sophia asked quietly. The years we wasted? Nicholas considered the question. I regret the pain I caused you. But those years taught me what I almost lost. They made this, he gestured between them, more precious because I know how close I came to destroying it. We built something beautiful from the wreckage. We built something unbreakable. He kissed her forehead. I love you, Sophia. I will spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. They made love beneath the stars, then again in their bedroom, passion that had only deepened with intimacy and trust. Months later, Sophia stood in her studio, adding finishing touches to a painting. Nicholas appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie after work. But instead of disappearing into his study, he wrapped his arms around her waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. How was your day? He asked, a question that had become sacred ritual. Productive. The new program launched in 3 more schools. How was yours? Long. But better now. He turned her gently to face him, studying her face with eyes that held warmth she had once despaired of ever seeing. I have something to tell you, Sophia said softly. What is it? She took his hand and pressed it against her still flat stomach. Nicholas's eyes widened. Understanding dawned slowly, followed by joy so profound it transformed his entire expression. We are. Yes. Sophia laughed through happy tears. We are. Nicholas lifted her carefully, spinning her gently before setting her down and kissing her with reverent tenderness. A family, he breathed against her lips. Our family. Our family, she confirmed. The man who had feared love's destruction had learned that love's creation was infinitely more powerful. The woman who had accepted invisibility had discovered that being truly seen by the right person was worth every moment of waiting. Together, they had transformed an arrangement into a love story, proof that even the coldest hearts could learn to feel, and even the loneliest souls could find their way home.